Hey guys, Crypto Sunday, and it's a bit of a red week. About 3-4% down from the looks of it, but the number is a little bit lower because I have finally sold Cardano. As you can see at the bottom here, I said it had been sort of on the chopping block for a little while, but it's sort of not really doing what I want it to be doing, growing in the way I want it to be, and the market cap is still staying sort of as if it is doing both of those things. So it had to go. I must admit, XRP is still in the similar sort of position. Not really. They're a little bit sort of shady behind closed doors, deals with banks and sort of central banks. So yeah, there's always a possibility that I sort of sell out and then it suddenly rockets up on a huge deal that was sort of under wraps. But yeah, maybe just have to accept that. But yeah, let's have a look at some of the news. So coin shares, as mentioned last week, knew this was going to be red because we saw sort of outflows from the US ETFs, and nothing's going to sort of make up for that. We saw sort of pretty spread over all the ETFs. Bitcoin, it's obviously mostly in Bitcoin. 58 million outflow from Ethereum. 98 million inflow into the multi-asset ones. So it's starting to see some sort of fairly big numbers. These are normally multi-assets, normally in single figures. So to be nearly at triple figures, that's quite unusual. Solana at 2.7 million. That's sort of slightly bigger than recent weeks. Litecoin 1.3. Short Bitcoin up a little as well. XRP a little bit. Cardano very small outflow. Chainlink little inflow. And 1.8 million into other. But it's the 98 million into multi-asset that gets me. Sort of a multi-crypto ETF type thing. I'm not sure where these are. I've not seen other than sort of 21 shares, these ones in Europe. Whether it is that, don't know. But yeah, if you start getting a sort of top 20 crypto ETF, then that would be interesting. Just looking at by country, so Brazil, always inflows from Brazil, it seems, 8.5 million. And then reasonably large outflows from Canada, Hong Kong, Germany, a little bit from Sweden, but an inflow into Switzerland. So they've always been a fairly pro-crypto nation. Looking at the recent data, so we had pretty much inflows for all this week, aside from Monday, which sort of obviously hanging over from last sort of few weeks that have been largely outflows. Yeah, last sort of Tuesday to Friday, we got very small, relatively small double-figure inflows. So mostly still with outflow from Grayscale, but inflows on a net basis. So, $30 million, $11 million, $70 million. Not too bad. If you got that every day of the year, then you'd end up with quite a nice total. So we shouldn't poo-poo it. The ETF news is hotting up as well. Shortly after Canada launched their first Solana ETF, we have a VanEck filing for one in the US, which obviously would be much, much bigger if approved. It's looking like this wouldn't get approved for quite a while. It's maybe just sort of put in to get feedback from the SEC. And yeah, there have been sort of some comments made from VanEck that they think the SEC should move to a sort of first come first serve basis. So, rather than approving them all at once, I wouldn't have thought that would be the case. People are saying the Solana one will get approved when BlackRock apply for it. That does seem to be basically the case. But yeah, Solana ETF, 21 shares I believe filed for one as well. So you wouldn't be surprised to see the other competitors start following through. And the sort of consensus on this seems to be that it wouldn't get approved because they don't have a CME futures market at the moment on for Solana, and that's the reason that the Bitcoin and Ethereum ones seem to have been approved. But there are sort of alternatives that they can use to sort of have a market of sizable, exposure. Forget what they call it, significant size. You have sort of surveillance sharing agreements from Coinbase and various exchanges, Nasdaq involved as well. So it doesn't necessarily have to be futures. There are sort of supposedly other ways they could get approved. As I say, sort of maybe it is just a surveillance sharing agreement with Coinbase. Sort of Coinbase growing in market share at the moment. And at the same time as the Solana ETF applications, you are getting quite a big development upgrade from the team. This seems to sort of allow Solana actions, transactions, and all sorts into sort of traditional, more traditional websites. So your Twitters and social media and that sort of thing. They're calling it blinks. So yeah, you can display a URL to perform a Solana transaction. Somebody sort of suggesting they're starting something, maybe a donation or something. You can sort of click this link and it donates them a small amount. Obviously, people are saying this onboards millions and millions of, or billions of people. It doesn't, because if anybody clicks that link without a wallet, it's just going to go to a dead link, presumably. This only really applies to people already with a wallet. So, yeah, it's, could potentially sort of cause people to see the link and wonder what it is and start Googling it and find out about crypto. But I don't think there's too many people that sort of know nothing at all about crypto. They're generally, I think most of the public either sort of is a fan or knows what it is but isn't a fan. But yeah, this could be something to sort of get people started, maybe onboard a few people, and sort of people already in the ecosystem creates sort of a nice way of like doing donations and sort of doing all sorts. Really, you put the tech out there and see what people will do with it. They do suggest some things on Twitter or X. You can buy an NFT, tip creators, receive money, vote on things, stake, swap tokens for other tokens, and so much more. So, yeah, we'll have to see. But I thought it was a really good sort of development. And as I say, this is the sort of thing I'm not seeing from Cardano. Bit of a delay on the Ethereum ETF launch. I didn't really see this coming by July the 2nd, as sort of Eric Balchunas and I think James Seifert as well was saying. It did seem a little bit soon. With sort of Gary Gensler and the SEC saying that they could be approved by the summer. We're not really sort of even into proper summer just yet. But yeah, they've been sort of pushed back to, they've got resubmission after comments by July the 8th. And yeah, it's looking like sort of the week after that they could be approved. You've got the 4th of July big holiday in the US. So yeah, it's going to take a little bit of time. But yeah, they're not saying no. They're making minor comments and minor changes should be needed. So looking like there's no real issue. But we still don't have staking. So that is sort of people talking about a basis trade like Bitcoin has at the moment, where you would sort of buy the ETF and sort of sell futures because the futures has the yield. So you might start to get sort of a ton of inflow that isn't real inflow when these do launch. So we'll have to watch the sort of futures market, I guess. Keeping an eye on Bitcoin hash rate as well, certainly since the halving. That sort of marked pretty much a top. This is the 7-day average on blockchain.com, and a sort of dropped down right to 550 exahash from 650. If you sort of look on the 1 day, it's a little bit more noisy, but you get sort of longer term averages. You know, I think the 30-day average really shows it a little bit more cleanly. It hasn't quite dropped down to 550 because it's still taken sort of these high periods into account. Well, that's a 30-day average, I suppose. It's not going right the way back to April, but you get the idea. And it's sort of coming down to 579 exahash. So yeah, people are switching off, selling their Bitcoin because the price hasn't risen. And yeah, we should start to. It looks like looking at the difficulty. We've had sort of obviously these stair steps up as everyone was powering up new machines, expanding as much as they possibly could. Difficulty got to 88, and yeah, it's come down sort of 83, 84, hovering around 83, and now you've started to sort of get quite a significant amount of people turn off. It looks like it's going from 83 to 77 on July the 5th, so that'd be quite positive. 7.5% reduction in difficulty. So the people that have switched off are no longer mining, and yeah, the people sort of the big public miners will get slightly more profitable. So not a huge amount of news this week. Just looking at the coins, Bitcoin has taken sort of quite a fair hit, £10,000 down, 4.7% for the week. Solana is up 4.1%, so that's doing pretty well in the face of everything. Ethereum down 3.6%. Chainlink is flat, so we are getting quite a divergence here. XRP down 2.9%. As I say, that is sort of somewhat on the chopping block, I think. If we sort of get a reasonable drop in some of the stuff I'm looking to buy options-wise, then yeah, I expect Ripple could be getting sold, certainly in the next few weeks, but we'll have to see where the stocks go. Audius up 1.17%, that's not too bad. Gala down 5.7%, Polygon down 4.6%, Power Ledger down 1.8%, Quant down 1.8% as well. Internet Computer down 3.1%, Basic Attention Token is flat, and VeChain is flat. So bit of a mixed bag. Some sort of altcoins faring slightly worse. I think second worst of the week is Bitcoin. Admittedly, it's sort of obviously been holding up a lot better than most of the altcoins over the last year. But yeah, we'll have to see if this is sort of one last flush. If we go sort of beyond below $60,000, you know, if we go way below that, we did get to sort of 58, and some people are saying that was potentially the low. But yeah, when do we get sort of one more flush, or you know, downside for the rest of July? Who knows? But I'm certainly looking to deploy some of my cash into miners. Probably not buying any crypto for the rest of this cycle. But yeah, I think there's other things to be buying. So leave your thoughts in the comments below, and like and subscribe. See you soon.